Have you ever wondered how to deploy your React.js app on AWS the right way, without the hassle of manual setup? Well, today I've got you covered. We'll go step by step, launching an EC2 instance, configuring it for React, and automating everything with Terraform, so your app is live in minutes, not hours. By the end of this video, you will have a fully deployed React app running on AWS, and you will understand how to use Terraform to manage your cloud resources like a pro. So if you're ready to level up your DevOps and cloud skills, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's dive in. So if you've watched my previous videos, you already know how to set up and deploy your application on AWS using the management console. What if I tell you there is a better way to do that? Introducing Terraform, an open source infrastructure as code, allowing you to define and manage your infrastructure resources like servers, databases, and networks using configuration files instead of manual clicks. Now with Terraform, if you want to set up a server, for example an EC2 instance, all you need to do is to write a Terraform script like this one here, and your entire AWS infrastructure is automatically provisioned in the cloud. The key benefits of Terraform over manual setup is that with Terraform, your infrastructure is repeatable and consistent, it's fast with automated deployment, easily scales with configurations, changes are tracked in Git, easier rollback, and teams can collaborate via code. By using Terraform, you can eliminate manual setup issues, improve deployment speed, ensure consistency, and enable easy scaling. Alright, let's begin with a quick overview of what we are building. First, we are going to create an IAM user, then configure AWS profile and set up the AWS CLI. Then we're going to use Terraform to provision resources. With Terraform, we're going to provision an EC2 instance. Now in the server, we're going to install Node.js, Nginx, and React to properly deploy our application, and then clone the source code from GitHub. Now before we begin, make sure you have the following installed in your machine. You need to have Node.js installed in your system, Terraform CLI, AWS CLI, an AWS account, and associated credentials that allows you to create resources. If you don't have all this set up, don't worry, we'll cover everything in this video. Now first, we'll set up a React app by cloning my React application from my GitHub repository. I'll put the link in the description below. Let me show you the React app. Here we have this beautiful AI chatting application with a modern UI UX design developed using React.js and Tailwind CSS. Now this is the GitHub repository where we have the source code of the React app, so make sure you have a copy of this GitHub repository. You can come here and fork it and have a copy, or you can clone it using this GitHub URL. If you already have your own React app, feel free to skip this part. Now once you have the GitHub repository set up with the source code, let's proceed to the next step. The first step, we are going to create an IAM user. Okay, here we will create a user and then use access key credentials for that particular user to assign programmatic requests to the AWS CLI or AWS API. So when using Terraform, you need to create a user with security credentials and use it for authentication to interact with the console. Now to do that, open your AWS Management Console, search for Identity and Access Management, IAM. Go to the tab on the right-hand side and choose Users. Then click on Create User. Okay, here give it a descriptive name. I'll name it EC2 Terraform. Then click Next. Okay, here we're going to attach some permissions. Select Attach Policy directly. Then we're going to look for Amazon EC2 full access. This will provide full access to the EC2. You can search for it here. You can type it here. Then attach another policy. Search for administrator access. This will provide full access to AWS services and resources. Okay, then click Next. Okay, here let's review. Here we have the name with the two policies attached to it. Then click Create User. Now you can see that our user has been successfully created. Next, let's create the access key for this user. Click on View User. Here, click Create Access Key. Since we're going to work with the command line interface, select CLI, the first option. Then scroll down and check the confirmation box. Then click Next. Okay, the access key is successfully created. Now here, the access keys consist of two parts. We have the access key ID, this one here, and a secret access key. You must use both the access key ID and the secret access key together to authenticate your requests. So make sure you copy and save this access key somewhere safe, or you can simply download the CSV file as we will use it later. Now the second step, we're going to configure AWS profile and set up the AWS CLI. So go ahead and open your code editor. I'm going to use VS Code. You can use any IDE of your choice. Here we're going to create a new directory for the Terraform project. Run this command mkdir, then the name of your directory. I'll name it AWS EC2 Terraform. Then cd into the directory. Now we're going to run this command, AWS configure. Okay, here we're going to enter the access key ID. Remember the one we just created. Then enter the secret access key. Okay, here we're going to leave the default region name. Hit enter. Then we'll leave the default output format. Hit enter again. All right, to check if the AWS profile is configured, run the following command. AWS configure list. Okay, now we have our profile configured, as you can see here. Now, the next step, we are going to set up the Terraform configuration. Let me check if I have Node and Terraform installed in my machine. Let me check the Terraform version. And here I have Terraform installed. I'll check Node version. As you can see, here I have Node installed. You can download Node.js by visiting their official website, and you can just click download. And to install Terraform, go to the official Terraform website, and you can download it from here. All right, now let's jump into Terraform and configure our project. Run this command. First, we're going to create the main TF file inside our project. Touch main.tf file. Okay, it's created. Now open it. Now here, this is where we're going to write the Terraform script to automate our infrastructure setup. So I wrote a script for you to save time, but don't worry, I'm going to explain everything so you can understand. So to get the Terraform script, I've created a GitHub repository for this tutorial, so you can as well follow along if you get stuck. Here is the repo. I'll put the link in the description below. You can see here we have all the steps. This is step 1, to create an IAM user. We did that already. Here we have the second step to configure the AWS profile. It's done already. Here we have step 3 to set up the Terraform configuration. Now I want you to copy this Terraform script and go and paste it inside the main TF file. Okay, let's break it down step by step so you can understand everything clearly. Now the first section here is the provider block. Now this specifies the cloud provider as AWS and sets the region to US East 1. Now in this case the provider is AWS and my region is US East 1. But you can change this to your preferred region. You can easily find your region to your AWS Management Console. Go to your console and here you can select any region of your choice. In my case is US East 1. Now once you select your provider and your region, Terraform will deploy all resources inside this region. Now, the next section, we have the EC2 instance resource. Okay, here we have the resource as AWS instance, then React app. Then here we have the AMI, Amazon Machine Image ID. Now I want you to replace this ID to your valid ID. You can find it in your AWS Management Console. This must be a valid Amazon Linux 2 AMI. Now to replace your ID, go to your AWS Management Console, go to EC2 instance, click here. This is my Amazon Machine Image ID from my AWS console. I'm going to copy this ID. Now make sure you copy your AMI ID. It's going to be different than mine. Make sure you copy yours and paste it here. Now for the instance type, we're going to use T2 Micro, which is free tier eligible, as you can see here. Next, we have the security group. Now, this will attach the EC2 instance to the security group, and we'll define this later. Okay, next we have the user data script. All right. Now, this section will boot the server. Okay. Now, this command is going to update the packages. We have sudo yum update. Now, the next command will install and start Nginx server to build our React app. Sudo Amazon Linux extras enable Nginx 1, then sudo yum install Nginx. Then we're going to start the Nginx, then enable it. Now the next command, we're going to install Node.js and then install npm. This is needed to build our React app. Now the next command, we're going to clone our React application from GitHub. First, we're going to install Git, then clone the React repository. Quick note, make sure you replace this path with your actual GitHub repository URL. Now we already have a copy of our GitHub repository. I'm going to clone it. I'm going to copy this URL. If you have your own React application in GitHub, you can clone it as well. But if you don't, feel free to have a copy of my GitHub repository. Then we're going to replace this GitHub URL. Here we have github.com, then your username and your React application. Now this command will copy the React application from GitHub repository to the EC2 user. Now from here, we're going to install dependencies and build the app. Then we're going to cd into it, home EC2 user, and then React app. Now from here, we're going to install dependencies and build the app by running npm install, then npm run build. Now this command will extract our application inside a production build folder. We're going to remove everything inside the Nginx folder, run the command sudo remove user share Nginx HTML. Now, once it's done, we need to replace the Nginx default page, which is the server that we launched. Then we're going to copy the React build file inside the Nginx folder, which is going to be named build or dist. This is the build folder where our React app is located. It can be build for React and then dist for Next.js. Now in my case, I've used Next.js, which is a React framework for building full stack web applications. Now the production build for Next.js is going to be dist. Let me show you. If I go to my React application, okay, this is my application. Now I'm going to run the npm run build. Now this is my production build folder. Then this is going to copy the React application inside the Nginx folder. Then we're going to restart the Nginx server by running sudo systemctl start Nginx. So basically, this section here is going to delete Nginx default page, then copies the React production build to Nginx root directory, and then finally restart Nginx to apply the changes. Now for tags, let's name our EC2 instance React App Server. Then here we have the security group. We'll name it React App Security Group. Let's give it a description. This will allow HTTP and SSH access. Then we have the following rules for the security group. First, we have the inbound rules. This will allow SSH with port 22 for remote access. Then this will allow HTTP with port 80 for serving the React app. Then lastly, we have the outbound rule. This will allow outbound traffic, which is necessary for updates and cloning the GitHub repository and more. Now, to recap, this script provisions an EC2 instance, installs and configures Nginx and Node.js, clones a GitHub repository with a React app, builds it and serves it through Nginx, and finally sets up a security group to allow web and SSH access. Okay. Remember, make sure you replace your AMI with a valid Amazon Linux 2 AMI ID, and make sure you store your application inside your GitHub repository and use your GitHub repository to clone your React app. Now let's proceed. Now the last step, we're going to execute and deploy the infrastructure with Terraform. First, we need to initialize Terraform by running the following command, terraform init. It's initializing. Now Terraform has been successfully initialized. Now let's plan and apply our configuration. Run the following command, terraform apply auto approve. Okay, apply complete. Our infrastructure is deployed successfully. Now let's verify on AWS the automated infrastructure that we deployed with Terraform. Now let's go ahead and access our React application via the EC2 public IP. Go to EC2 instance. And as you can see, the instance has been created. Here we have a React app server, and it's running. Let's wait for it to finish initializing. I'll go and refresh it. Okay, once it's complete, now grab the public IP of the instance. This one here. Copy it and paste it here. And voila, there it is. Here you should see your React app running. Perfect. As you can see here, I have this beautiful AI chat application with a modern UI UX design. Looks good. And it's running on AWS. Congratulations, you have successfully deployed a React app on AWS using EC2 instance with Terraform. And from here, you can always improve this infrastructure. For example, you can set up an application load balancer if needed. You can set up a custom domain using Route 53. You can also add an SSL certificate with AWS Certificate Manager. And you can automate the deployment using a CI/CD pipeline. Let's check the security group as well. Click on security group. And here we have the React app security group. Let me click on it. Here we have the security group, and we have the inbound rule. We have SSH and HTTP. Let's click edit rules. And here we have the inbound rules set up. All services used in this tutorial are eligible for the AWS free tier. However, fees will be charged at some point, so it's recommended that you shut down resources after completing a demo on AWS. Now, instead of deleting every resources on the console one by one, with Terraform, you can easily delete everything by just running the following command. Terraform destroy. This will clean up everything. Enter yes to confirm. Now it's done. If you go to your console, As you can see, the EC2 instance is terminating and it's shutting down. And here we don't have any React app security group. If you want to learn more and if you enjoyed this tutorial, like it, subscribe, and let me know in the comments section if you want more AWS and Terraform content. Again, if you get stuck, I've created a GitHub repository for you so you can follow along with this clear step-by-step guide. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.